Thank you for joining us for Turn the Page with Paige, brought to you by Southwestern Illinois College. I'm your host, Paige Hulsey, and today the luck of the Irish is with us. Meet Clover, a French bulldog with a nose for adventure and more than a touch of luck. In the children's book, Clover Goes to Notre Dame, readers follow along as the four-legged Frenchie explores the big campus and works his way into the heart of the Notre Dame family. Author Lisa Kelly joins us today in studio all the way from Branson, Missouri. So glad that you're in town.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so for our viewers maybe who didn't go to Notre Dame or haven't even been to Notre Dame's campus, how do you describe what makes it so special?
I think for me, Notre Dame was a big part of my development into adulthood. So what I learned at Notre Dame, both in class and just through friendships and mentors, kind of molded and shaped me into the person I became. So for me, Notre Dame is home. We go back every year, and my friend group, and we get together, and it really does feel like we call it home under the dome. So
very sweet. Okay, so obviously Kelly is an alum. Why did you want to write this book? And we're going to talk more about your collection of books. So maybe I should say, well, why did you get started writing?
At the very beginning, I got started writing because I felt like sometimes the media tends to focus on negative things with athletes, and I wanted to showcase all of the positive things that athletes do during and after their professional careers. I mean, so many of these men and women give back to their communities and have these very diverse career paths after sports, and no one kind of hears those stories. So it's kind of a where are they now? Everyone's like, whatever happened to so-and-so? And so this was a great way to do some storytelling. And
well, let's talk more about your newest children's book, focusing on Clover. You see a little stuffy version of Clover here. It's kind of based on a true story because eventually you did take Clover to campus, right? What happened?
I did. So after I wrote the book, my first book tour stop, we went to Notre Dame. And so Clover and I got in the car and drove 10 hours, and she got to run in the soft grass and kind of relive all the things that I wrote in the book.
And so then those pictures were used as a reference point for the illustrator you worked with, right?
For sure. I walked the exact path of the story, took pictures of what Clover and I would have seen during the story, and sent it to the illustrator. And she told me, wow, this is the most detailed art direction I've ever seen. But I knew that if you're writing a book for the Notre Dame audience, they want to see the true, authentic, images of campus, and I wanted it to be real life. And so she did such a fantastic job with the artwork. Okay,
we've kind of worked our way backwards now. Let's dive into the actual story. What happens in the book?
So I wanted to write a story about, what would you do if you took a dog or a person to Notre Dame for the first time? So we kind of walk through campus and highlight all of the favorite points on campus: the grotto, the lake, the Golden Dome, the library, watching the marching band, of course the football stadium. So, it's interesting to do it through a dog's eyes. Like, what would she wants to jump in the lake, and she meets a squirrel. And so it was really fun to tell the story through that perspective.
What do you want readers to say or feel when they finish this adventure with Clover?
Yeah, I mean, part of the adventure was we wanted to teach a lesson. So talks about friendship, she meets a squirrel. So, and then it's all wrapped around a Bible verse about faith, hope, and love. So, I want to teach children something, and I also want them to teach them about Notre Dame.
So this is really just the latest in your collection of books about Notre Dame. I want to talk more about your series, Echoes from Notre Dame. 3 different installations in that series, right?
Yes.
And what are they about?
So they're nonfiction books about former Notre Dame athletes. So each chapter tells an athlete's story of how they got to Notre Dame, what their experience was like at Notre Dame, and then where their lives went after sports.
Did you notice a theme or a pattern?
Yes.
The types of character they were either before or after their time at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, I think the theme runs, our time at Notre Dame, whether you're an athlete or not, Notre Dame really molds and shapes people into what they're going to be in adulthood. And we kind of coined it the Notre Dame value stream. So the values that you learned at Notre Dame is kind of what propelled you into your life and your career and helps you walk the right path and be a good person.
Well, another book is going to make us hungry, Domer Dishes. Explain the name.
Yeah, so I didn't want to write a cookbook. One of my football player friends was like, "You're the perfect person to write a cookbook." I'm like, "Hi, have you met me? I don't cook." My kids joke I could burn water, like I don't.
So why did he say that you were the perfect person to write the cookbook?
I think because I'm kind of a face of Notre Dame and so many people know me and that the guys really appreciate me telling their stories. And so kind of what we decided to do was I have 50 favorite recipes from different football players and coaches, but then we also include a little story with each recipe. So they either tell a story about why it's their favorite recipe, or sometimes you just have a favorite recipe and there's no story.
Yeah.
So then they tell a story about their favorite time at Notre Dame. So it's a little food and a little storytelling, and then my husband cooked everything.
Okay.
And I ate everything.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I mean, one of my recipes is in there, so that's probably my favorite.
Can you give us a tease? Is it something salty or something sweet?
It's a blueberry French toast casserole.
That sounds great. I think my family would love it.
It's amazing. It's easy. You prep it the night before and cook it in the morning. So yeah.
Fantastic. I'll have to give it a try for sure. Okay, know that you can't possibly be done. More books in the works?
I am. I'm halfway through writing a Notre Dame baseball book, so maybe that'll be out next year. And then I think my next Clover installment will be Clover Goes to Branson.
Fantastic! That will be fun too. This is a really great line, and what I like about it is there really is something for everyone. Whether it's the athlete in the family, the chef in the family, or the child in the family too.
Exactly.
Before you go, Lisa, speaking of children, what would you recommend as a children's book from another author?
I have two that I brought with me, and they're from fellow Notre Dame women. So this is by Allison Levy, and she co-wrote it with Muffet McGraw, who was the head coach at Notre Dame. And it's a book about sports and children trying to find, what their best sport would be, how to be a team player. So it's called Ray and Kay Decide What to Play. And then this is from another Notre Dame friend. Her name is Sherry Kelly, and it's Find Your Tiger Inside. So it's kind of how to find the courage to do hard things. So
that is important to teach the kids we can do hard things.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on your books. And I have to give a shout out to the adorable hat. Your friend made it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How cute is that? And it's stuffy too. Thanks again for joining us. And thank you at home for joining us for today's episode of Turn the Page with Paige. We hope to see you again soon.